A donut in a donut hole. I have studied that one many times over and over. As far as doing it on my own, thank you very much. It is one of life's greatest sayings and meanings behind that saying, as far as what its terminology or definition, however you want to explain and give it detail. Now, let's get into the whole point of Earth. Earth? What is Earth? It's certainly a donut in a donut hole, or you could say it's the donut that has the donut in the donut hole. Pretty crazy, right? You gotta get very smart when you start thinking, and you're like, okay, how's my brain work towards this and that? Everything that is like upward, being bigger, the same as everything downward, being smaller. That's why there's one good way of saying a donut in a donut hole. But what's in that donut hole that's even smaller? Another donut. What I trip out on frequency and how one can be stable as self solid, the ringing, boom, this way, that way, this way, that way, that way, is inevitable. So you have a flower of life right there as far as being like, wow, there's a me in a circle that is in every direction possible. Flower of life this way, flower of life that way, flower of life that way, flower of life that way, flower of life that. Every dimension you could ever think of, you have a different dimension for you to go deal with that is of a three-dimensional world, of a four-dimensional, fifth-dimensional, sixth-dimensional. You know, the part of being a circle of life is just extreme in itself. And I won't get too far into it because I know some crazy, extravagant shit. But remember that circle of life and remember how you make those circles, you end up making the perfect flower of life. Flower of life, get bigger, big circle in the middle, the six is a seven, the seven is a six, the zero is a one, the one is a zero, your 40101. Remember shit like that is important to know. But as I was saying, a donut in a donut hole. You know, it's almost like saying the mirror and its other side. The part about magic is very important to understand the way that it works. And one thing that is very scientific as well as majestically explained or asked is what's up with Earth and why does it have a like description of somebody owns it. Who can own the world? Nobody. And can who can explain why we have this small Earth and then other planets that are super huge, planets that had rings, planets that lost their rings, Earth that has rings, Earth that doesn't have rings, Earth that had rings like Saturn and no longer have it. I mean, isn't it crazy how there's something majestic and scientific about, say, a half rainbow? Okay, well, it wasn't until last year that I finally seen rainbows that were circular, whole circle in the sky, and you're like, what the heck? And especially when it's around the sun, and it's beautiful around the sun. But to see there was like two, three moons out in the sky You had the eclipses, you had the new moon, you had the black moon, you had like the no moon, the crescent moon. You had a lot of crazy, majestic, magical stuff happen this year. And I, for one, have gone through some crazy changes as far as being able to document and remember a lot of it. Somebody would be like, oh, he was just a drug addict. He was homeless on the streets, just being out there lost on drugs. When you're homeless, you're not ever. I mean, there's some people that have done it, but few. And like, really, the majority of people homeless are trying to survive and live. We're not out there trying to fucking smoke rock and dust and all that stuff to the point where it's like we're walking around not knowing who or what we are. I mean, when you look at people that are homeless, that takes a while for somebody to go through that stage, if they go through that stage. And that stage right there is hard to come back from. It's hard to accept. It's hard to trust somebody. So yeah, you have, a few of them, like very few, poor people who are completely gone and lost. But you also have the rest of us. It's a way bigger majority count. You know what I'm saying? The percentage, the whole fraction right there, it's like freaking 48 to 50 type of count where we're trying to survive when we're homeless and all that. But, anyways, what I'm going to say is magic and scientific, this earth has been going through this rotating shit of constantly doing it the same over and over. And, people living, evolving, dying, evolving, dying, evolving, scientifically speaking, anthropology and observation, auditing, recording, putting in data, storing data, memory, and all of the charts as far as something on our earth, as far as experimentation, evaluations, and all of that, with the doctrines and the whole fucking principality specifications of being a medical research specialist. You have to understand that it's way bigger when you look at a count of time being stretched out and actually zoomed out, and you're looking at how small life is, where it's doop, 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 doop. Each person lives 60, 80, sometimes younger, sometimes older. Doop, 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 doop. From fucking 1800s to 1900s to 1950s to 1995s. You know what I mean? People died and lived different ages. And doop, 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 doop. But when you zoom out, big picture, it's like, who's doing the experimentation on everybody? You get what I'm saying? The huge, big picture of like no longer thinking in the box or no longer thinking outside the box, but getting outside of the bigger box that was actually holding you in that smaller box. Donut in a donut hole. You know what I mean? So, being somebody that knows a lot about being able to shape your reality to what you want it to be, not only is it you, but when you kind of not open the door, but I don't know, they find you something. They make sure that you're back to normal, not having abilities. And you're like, what the fuck? But it ends up not just being about you, like prophecy, which, you don't have to break it down like, oh, religion has nothing to do with science. Well, it has nothing to do with magic. Well, it has nothing to do with witchcraft. Well, it has nothing to do science. It's all a big freaking crazy part of science and evolution. And so it could go the good way of flowing natural. It could go the bad way of flowing unnatural and going against natural and creating this super current, this super fucking flash, this super bang, this super freaking wind up twist mix, and then freaking all of a sudden go opposite directions and hit hard, That has everything to do with the same thing over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? The unstoppable force meets an unmovable object. Well, what happens? Well, depending on the velocity, the philosophy, philosophy, the current speed and energy that's going behind it to push it, all of that velocity and pressure and what I mean, everything that is exposing detail as far as like the 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 massive number, you know what I mean? The atomic massive number, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. When you're able to right away correspond the details of what would happen, you know that sympathetically, or however you say it, the word, it don't matter about the word, is the whole thing depends on if it's bigger than the unstoppable or movable object. Is it smaller? Is it faster? Is it bigger? The unstoppable object means the unmove. No, the unstoppable force means the unmovable object. Well, it's force, so therefore it's unmovable. I believe that, in that type of respondents, depending on what it is, if it's unmovable, then no matter what, it's unmovable. The unstoppable force is definitely just going to either ricochet or it's just certain to, bounce it back off, like boom, like, so you have either, going down or upward against the wall. No matter what, it's an unstoppable, unmovable object. It's a wall. That bitch is always gonna go, ping, ping, you know what I mean? It's gonna right away make that bend from going like slightly down cycle, hitting that wall, to boom, ricocheting upward, or not upward, but downward. And depending on that, E equals MC squared stuff, well, the square, if that's just like one square as far as it being an unstoppable force coming into, it's the intersection, kind of like a circular radius dot, you know what I mean? And it's about to hit you, kind of like a submarine, you don't want it to hit you or brace for impact. Well, with that thing coming at you in a big square with a radius, but it's not a circle, it's a square, then that shit might just ping pong going bing, bing, boom, and go the opposite way, kind of like a Y or like a U, It went ooh, ooh, kind of like rectangular or squarish without the top, you know what I mean? It's going down, it's gonna go boom against that wall, boom against this wall, boom, back out that way. So you gotta really think about it, when it comes to ancient geometry, when you're thinking about ancient Sumerian texts and Greek and Roman. I mean, all there was a shift game of somebody having some type of alienated ass buddy that kept, ricocheting right here. Like when you go to boom, bing, 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 you notice that it's like there was an ancient Greek and Sumerian. Boom. Then later on it was Roman, so then it's like boom, Roman's the same as Greek and Latin, and boom, another stab with teeth. Boom, is Greek and Roman being Egyptian, or Egyptian before Roman because of Sumerian. Boom. Either way, you got like a zigzag line of constantly observe and report with this crazy science. So, like I said, a donut in a donut hole. What's beyond the next donut that we realized that we were just in and we're trying to get out, It's like in a sick way, in a sick joke, it seems like, and I'm not buying it and I'm not into it. It seems like, the maze or like a labyrinth or, fucking, I like to play a game with you. That type of shit right there, like, it hits me hard. It's like, nah, we don't like that game shit. We want sunny days. We want nice weather. We want easy access. We want, everything accommodated equally. By no means yes, and yes means no when it comes to accommodations. When it comes to, um, negative and opposite and all that, then actually no means no, and we mean no. So, represent Victorio, aka Dr. Solar Gun, aka Higher Purpose, aka Clout Killer, aka back in the day, Mr. Nobody, aka Image, back in the day, aka Beast, aka um Panson. Um Man, so many names you could think of it, okay? I don't even need to get down with my other names of being like an angel or a guardian or a warrior or back in the day. You already hear the names of being when I was a fighter, but you did not pay attention to the levels of and fighter. Yes, I have my pictures of the times I was being jumped and things like that, but don't need those. All I need is new memories, no setbacks, and great life, good times. Much love.